Testing, 1, 2. I'm Bryony and this is my colleague Emily, and we are 2/3 of Stitched Up Cooperative. In 2016 we set up Manchester's first Repair Café, and we've been running monthly Repair Cafés since then. We've grown our Facebook page to nearly 700 followers, and we have sort of roughly between 4 and 10 volunteers helping us out each month. Repair Cafés are free events run by volunteers where members of the community can bring along broken household items and get help fixing them. They run on a regular basis, often monthly, and they're totally free and open for anyone to come along to. We have a wealth of different items brought through the doors, including electrical items, furniture, clothing and bikes. And roughly 69% of the items that are brought in get repaired on the day. 27% are partly repaired, and information and instructions that are given to people to continue their repair at home. Fancy setting one up? Here are a few quick tips to get you started. It's up to you how you decide to structure your Repair Café. What we decided to do was go for the Repair Café model, which was started in Amsterdam. It's a franchise and it does cost you to buy into it, but there are some pros and cons with that. So it's €49, and with that you receive all sorts of different items that you can use as part of your Repair Café. So you have house rules, which are really, really useful to have for both so the repairers know what they should be doing on the day and how much advice and help they should be giving to people, but also so that the people who come to the Repair Café know what to expect. There's feedback sheets and information that we can gather about what items are being brought through the doors from those documents that you're provided with. We have had to compromise on the logo. It doesn't necessarily fit with our other branding, but it's a compromise that we've gone with because it's well known and it's used across the board for all Repair Cafés. You can also be listed on their website with all of the other Repair Cafés across the world, of which there's how many?
1,500.
1,500. So we're part of a big team.
The second thing that you need to think about when setting up your Repair Café is your venue. So we would suggest finding your venue before you look into funding. A, because the funding that you might be looking at may be location specific. B, you need to know how much the venue is going to cost you in order to put together your funding bid. We've used our own venue, so we didn't have to think about things like public liability insurance, which we already have. We create a risk assessment for all the activities we do, and we have a health and safety policy. But those three things you will need to check whether your venue has, and if they don't, you'll need to create your own. Cafés sometimes expect volunteers to bring along their own tools, but some of them, particularly stands for holding things in place, like clamps, bike stands, are really bulky and heavy to carry. Some volunteers might have problems actually getting them to your Repair Café. So if you can factor in some budget somewhere or get some donations of tools, that could be really helpful.
Our Repair Café started with a £1,000 fund from Forever Manchester. It was used to make flyers, it was used to help us to build up a bank of volunteers. Only a small portion of it went into actually running it month to month. Your funding can come from all sorts of different places, but the sort of ideal pots of funding would come from places like housing association funds. Forever Manchester is a great one if you are located in Manchester, but sort of small pots that are community based, because that's what the project really is all about at the end of the day.
Applying for funding for your Repair Café is optional, so there's lots of Repair Cafés around the UK that we know of that operate on a donations basis. So every month we ask visitors to give us a donation, and obviously you can't predict the amount of donations you're going to get in. Sometimes it's nothing, sometimes it's 40 quid. So we'll use that money to help pay for our overheads and the costs of running the event, and if we have spare money we spend it on cake, nice things for our volunteers. But yes, there are ways, especially if you can find a free venue, which is totally possible,
Maybe like your local library or your housing association might have a free space. If you can do that, you can run on a lot less budget.
For us, donations have allowed us to run the Repair Café for another year. So it's made the Repair Café sustainable. We've got volunteers that do all sorts of different things. So our volunteers repair, our volunteers host, and some of our volunteers just bring goodies in for the day. It's a real community event, so if you can find volunteers in your community that do great things, get them involved in the Repair Café. As part of the Repair Café model and being an official Repair Café, people who repair on the day and support the event from that point of view have to be volunteers. They can't be paid anything, and the volunteers are really the crux of the whole thing. Our volunteers have been with us for a really long time now, and that's because we treat them right, and they've always been really super valuable to us, and so you need to show that, and you need to make sure that they know that. The volunteers that we have are managed now through an online sign up, so that really takes out a lot of the admin and the cost of admin every month for us. So we can afford to post, because we know what day we're going to be running the Repair Café every month, we can afford to post multiple dates on the sign up service, and volunteers can tell us months in advance whether they can make it or not, which also then allows us to publicise it out across all of our channels.
Most often at Repair Café I tend to come across small domestic appliances, table fans, lamps, coffee grinders, occasionally food mixers, the odd toaster once in a while. They're usually very samey in that respect, but there has been the odd interesting thing that comes along, like a chair that needs fixing, or some very old sort of appliances and bits of equipment that need looking at. The old ones are good fun.
Well, I tend to help out mainly by sort of doing triage and setting stuff up for Alfred, so I see the same sort of things, but also I occasionally do sewing, so I've done quite a lot of zips. Zips go wrong a lot, so I've done those, and also just little pieces of darning, hems that have come down, buttons, that kind of thing.
Brakes, adjusting gears not kind of running smoothly up and down is another thing that we quite often get. Buckles, wheel buckles, which is a relatively easy thing to do.
Quite often you get people coming in with a rattle and they don't know what it is, and you have to look at that.
Yeah. And cleaning. Bicycles in the most terrible state that they just need a good clean. And we always check for chain wear as well, because that's something else that is quite often an issue. And just changing a chain can make a massive difference.
The other thing that makes a massive difference to lots of people's bikes is pumping the tyres up.
Mostly you don't have to have a lot of tools, just the ones you believe you'll need. I have a collection of different types of pliers and wire cutters, and a range of screwdrivers. They're always useful. Different screwdrivers for different jobs, including small precision ones. The important things to try and have is security screwdriver bits. So many items have security screws, and without the proper drivers it's very hard to get into them. Other tools that are useful, some sort of vice or workmate type device. I use this one, but there are many others available. It's a really useful piece of kit just to hold something still for the repair. In this box are general household tools, a sharp knife, hammers, tape measures, little things like that, and a torch, just to look at small components inside dark appliances. The more specialist equipment that I use is a good multimeter, and that's just for testing anything electrical, electronic, to make sure that it's safe and it's usable, and to help find the faults in it.
When I started, I think I just came with spanners, Allen keys and screwdrivers. So there's quite a lot you can do with that. But I think as we've done more sessions, we've thought, realised what we need. So we've now got rags, they're really important.
Very important, yeah, rag. And things like an adjustable spanner are really useful, because they're a really flexible tool. The The track pump, which Ursula mentioned before, that's really important because so many people could do with some air in their tyres, and the lubes, and then this chain checker is a really, really handy tool because you can actually save yourself quite a lot of money by changing your chain earlier rather than later.
And we've started bringing a bike stand as well, which makes the repairs easier. But you can still do bits and pieces without, if you haven't got a bike stand. I'd still say start. Don't be put off starting because you haven't got the full kit. I used to come with just a very, very basic kit, and you could still do something.
Yeah.
Because it's not paying clients and deadlines, it's a nice relaxed way to see some new things, experience some new repairs, talk to some other people for a change and be outside of the workshop. I see it as a nice social occasion where I can chill out and just enjoy the bit of the work I really do enjoy doing, which is the repairing and the playing around with things.
I really like the sort of the problem solving and the triumph when you fix something, even if it's a little bit of a Heath Robinson fix, you know, that somebody goes away with something and they're really happy, and people are always really happy when you fix something, and that's just nice to see. So it's like giving them a gift, you know.
Yes, I really do get a buzz out of the really unusual repairs that sometimes you have to repair a thing using a paper clip or a little scrap of wood or a bit of drain pipe to make it work again. But that's the thing I really do get a huge kick out of. Coming up with something really unusual to make a thing work, I love that part of it. It's really challenging and huge result at the end of it that everybody seems to be happy with.
I wanted somewhere where I could get some experience at looking at different bikes and fixing bikes for my own sort of learning. So I think that was partly the motivation.
Same for me, really. I wanted to become more experienced at bike fixing, and this was an opportunity to do it in a sort of quite supportive environment. Just something lovely about the atmosphere of a repair cafe. So it's a kind of one of the highlights of my month volunteering here.
I'd say one of the things is get as wide a range of volunteers as you can, have multiple people who can do the same sort of repairs so that you don't end up with one person feeling they've got to be there every time, because otherwise there'll be nobody to do electricals or whatever. And yeah, plenty of volunteers, and look after them well. Cups of tea are always appreciated, that sort of thing.
Yes. If you're setting one up, make sure you get the volunteers in advance, because it's nice to know how many people you have and what their skills are. A lot of people will offer their skills based on perhaps what they do for a living, but it's also worth looking at what other skills they have. I've come across some Repair Café volunteers who would rather do something that wasn't their day-to-day living, so it's always useful to find that out in the community as well. So yes, and as Sue says, if they're looked after well, then volunteers really do enjoy coming along to Repair Café, and it is really good fun for them.
I would say just do it, give it a go, because I remember the first time I came I was quite nervous about whether I would, what I would have to offer. But there's lots of things that come that I can't fix, but there's lots of things that come that I can help with, or you can give people advice and you can help. A lot of the time it's working on a bike with somebody, and all the repairs working with the person to try and investigate and see what's up. So I would say give it a go and see what happens. And it is quite a supportive environment, and that people know when they come in that you're not necessarily going to be able to fix it, but you can give it a go.
Yeah, I would say the more repair cafes there are across Greater Manchester, the better. So anybody that feels like they want to do it should just give it a go and go for it, definitely.
We're really hoping that this video will inspire lots of you to try and set up your own repair cafe. If you need any help with anything, you want to send us a question, then just tweet us or send us a Facebook or anything. We're at Stitched.uk on all social media, and we'll be happy to help.
Wishing you the best of luck. Volunteers are our repairers. What are you laughing at?